Hey everyone, welcome back to Don't Be Stupid. And today I'm here with a brand new video for you guys. We're going to be talking about When Calls the Heart Season 8, Episode 9, titled Pre-Wedding Jitters. And I'm here with my mom, Stacey. Thanks for joining me.
Hey guys.
So we have an outline here. And first thing is our overall thoughts for this episode. I thought this was a pretty good episode. I thought that Elizabeth, the storylines revolving around Elizabeth were my least favorite, definitely. But I thought everything else was pretty good, and I thought that the Ned and Florence stuff was really good, and like the bachelorette parties, and like the development with everything, and like the stolen car being revealed. So like there were a lot of good things or fun things going on this episode. Nothing was really like necessarily resolved. We still have 3 more episodes, but what do you think of this episode?
Overall good episode. Some scenes that maybe were frustrating to me. Definitely not as good an episode as last week's, but overall decent episode. So
Yeah. So Floyo, which is the official ship name for Ned and Florence, are having their bachelor and bachelorette parties. And I think I enjoyed it because sure they're like a fast couple. But I think it'll all be worth it next episode when they do get married. And there's like certain aspects of them that I do like. And like I thought it was really cute when like Florence was able to identify Ned's hands
that was sweet.
out of everyone, and it
in
showed
the game.
that even though they have known each other for years, even though it's a new relationship, there has been a little something. I mean, didn't necessarily notice, but I guess there was like like at Jesse and Clara's wedding, like the hand, like they danced. So there has been like little inklings of that, but I'm just kind of surprised because it's mainly been off screen, I guess, those inklings. So it was. I mean, I think it was sweet, like when she was able to identify them, but kind of surprising
And of course
at the same time.
Of course, several times in the shop, in the store, we've noticed them holding hands, and they've had to pull away real quick. I mean, that's Ned putting the bell up. So, so that they've had plenty of opportunities to handhold. So.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess there's something about Ned's hands. I don't know.
Well, she's in love, so. Oh, on that line, did anyone find it interesting that Florence must have a son? And I was like, wait a minute, where did this come from?
Yeah, there was like this boy who was talking to Allie in the marketing title. And this like maybe I don't know. I looked on all reviews and they did not mention that at all, which I hope that they would. So there's been no commentary about that whatsoever pretty much online. So I don't know what to I don't know. Does she have a son? Maybe. But like he's coming out of nowhere anyways, even if he was in earlier seasons, and Florence hasn't even had interactions with him at all.
And I think this is going to be a little budding relationship for Allie, because it looked like they were kind of
flirting.
Yes. So.
Oh boy.
Okay. Anyways.
Okay. Joseph is the new pastor, and Lee didn't know he was on the pastoral committee. He's the only one left on the committee.
Yeah.
And Joseph accepted before Lee could even finish his sentence, which really showed that he has good intentions for Hope Valley to bring it to life. And next episode will be his first pastoral assignment, the wedding.
Yes, first duty as pastor.
And we also saw Minnie helping her out at the cafe too,
which was very cool.
And her being more involved in like the talking to more residents and things like that. So that was pretty cool.
And getting to know the ladies and
So they're a good addition. We didn't see the kids, but that's fine. Okay, Jesse and Clara, we got a little bit more with them. By the end, I think they kind of resolved their things, kind of. But
I think so.
Jesse and Hickam were eating food, not the food for the bachelorette party, but Clara walked in and she yelled at Jesse because she thought that because she still can't really trust him, I guess is what I kind of got from that. So and then she apologized for him, and they kind of at the party they made up.
Yes.
Although their kiss was interrupted, they didn't even get to kiss. I don't know if that was meaning something. I doubt it. But are you glad that they? I mean, what do you think of that?
I am glad that they're starting to work things out, and both of them were open to apologizing to each other, and I thought that was a healthy step forward in their relationship. So
So and then on the other end, I'm not sure what to think about Carson and Faith, because I was almost hoping this episode might be a little bit better for them. I mean, I thought they were actually might get married, but no, I mean, I'm actually kind of glad that they're not for some reason. Turns out he accepted the position without talking to Faith first. And Faith has been pushing him, but I still think he should have talked to her first. I've been kind of like on Carson's side for a while now. I mean, I kind of took Faith's side in this instance. I mean, sure, she's been encouraging him, but he still needed to come to her, and of course, they don't have good communication right now. So they kind of get into a fight, and then later on, he says, "Why don't we get pre-engaged kind of? So when I come home after 2 years, we can get married." And then she says she doesn't know what the answer is, so they're still at odds.
Yeah.
And then Clara is well, not Clara. Faith is talking to the ladies later on. She says she doesn't even know if Carson will want to return after 2 years to Hope Valley. His interest might have moved on, So I think that is interesting to see, what will happen between them. I'm assuming. I mean, I don't think Carson is left yet.
No, I don't think so. But I definitely predict that relationship is not going to work out.
No, I think the breakup is on the
horizon. Yep.
Yeah. I think by the end of the season they'll break up. I don't think they can move that forward at this point. I just feel like there's too much fighting going on. And they're not even married yet, so imagine what the first years of their marriage would look like.
Right. If they're already fighting, that's not a good sign.
Yeah. And then, so the next thing is, well, I wanted to touch on really quick. I didn't write this down, but Fiona's back. So, and then her and Hickam asked her out for dinner.
Yes.
The following week. So that'll be interesting to see.
Yes.
What happens between them. So the next up is the stolen car. So Bill's kind of investigating this. And as a few episodes back, he found this car outside of town. So then he brought it to town, which I'm not sure if it was the smartest move to leave it sitting there, because then someone could steal it again.
Yeah.
But I guess what else do you do with it? And then he looks at he sees that there's a footprint in the car. It was kind of funny him laying in the car, but he spies a footprint. So now that's a new clue in it, in the whole investigation, because later on we see Henry burning the boots, Christopher's boots, I guess, or maybe someone else's boots. I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming it's Christopher's.
Yes, I would assume so.
Burn the evidence because he wants to protect his son, because this is after his son's already left.
Yes.
Shocking reveal. Lucas asked Christopher to come to town to watch over Henry. So that's revealed. And then Lucas couldn't trust Henry, which who could ever trust Henry? But what did you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, actually, it was really surprising. I mean, and it kind of shows a side of Lucas that we thought was, at least I thought was gone. That he's still kind of that hardcore businessman who's going to do whatever it takes to get ahead, kind of thing. So, yeah, it was kind of it made me think less of Lucas. Yeah, I would say that just definitely made me think less of him.
It almost feels like, what if Elizabeth will find out about it and that'll drive her away from.
I think she'll be disappointed when she finds that out. Yeah.
I think even that by the end of this episode, well, no, we'll talk about that in a second. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself.
Well, the nice thing about that is it did bring Christopher and Henry together, and it did truly bring them together, because it felt like they worked through some issues as father and son, and they were able to part at the end saying I love you. So that was really neat. So
and they hugged.
Something bad turned to good. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, and they hugged at the end, and then they left to go see Rachel.
Yes.
So maybe they'll be back at some point, but
hopefully.
But their arcs are kind of in my opinion, wrapped up for now.
Yeah.
So, and then, like I said, Henry burned the evidence. And one thing I want to say about Henry before I moved on to the whole Elizabeth thing, he mentions to Christopher a while after, me and your mom split, he found someone who he loved, and he never got the chance to say it, someone who saw the good in him. At first, I thought Nora, because they had that little thing, but then I was like, it's probably Abigail.
Yeah.
Who do you think? Who do you think?
Well, I will say Abigail always thought the best in him and tried to push him to be good. And it almost was like he wanted to be good because she thought so much of him and put so much faith in him. So, yeah, it could be Abigail.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, it almost feels like they've been touching a little bit more on the Abigail factor lately. And they brought up the mining disaster this episode, too.
Yeah.
That might be brought back into play. Maybe Abigail might be brought back to town eventually. I don't know. I think that I almost just feel like they're hinting at her a little bit more. Would you agree?
You're hearing little bits and pieces, so it could be. Yeah.
But, I mean, I know that Lori, we don't talk about personal drama necessarily on this podcast, but she is out of prison. So that's a good thing. I think she'll hopefully be able to start to reform.
You never know.
And
Yeah.
become a better person. And maybe
Well,
eventually
there's not, yeah, yeah.
maybe eventually when calls to the heart might be another option for her and they'll accept her back. We would hope so because we really liked her character.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. The whole love triangle thing. This episode, it didn't add much to it, although two significant moments stuck out to me this episode, and it wasn't necessarily like Elizabeth wasn't in either of them. It's the Lucas and Allie scene at the beginning, where she returned the gift that he got her for graduation, and she says that she doesn't feel like she wants it because she brings up like Elizabeth, you're happy with Elizabeth.
Yeah.
But he tells her to keep the gift, and then he offers like these cherries to her. What did you think of that moment?
Yeah, I think that was good of her. She's kind of coming to terms with the fact that, yeah, I wish Elizabeth was with Nathan, but she's happy with Lucas, and I have to accept it. So I think, that showed some maturity for Allie. Of course, Lucas's response to her and what she goes and then shares with Elizabeth is not quite what Elizabeth wanted to hear. And that was, do you remember?
I'm trying to remember.
Lucas says to Allie that Nathan and I will work this out. And I don't think that's what Elizabeth wanted to hear at all.
Yeah, I mean, he did because he wanted to do it for Allie's sake, obviously,
Right.
because he cares about Allie like any other member in the town. He wants to do what's best for her after everything that's been messed up, He doesn't want to ruin Nathan's relationship with Allie. And like then Elizabeth kind of gets upset at Lucas a little bit for saying that, because I don't think that was good of him to say. I mean, sure, it's like a positive thing,
Yeah.
but it's not. But then like Elizabeth feels caught in the middle, kind of, which I mean, she kind of is in the middle because it's a love triangle.
And she is, but I think she thinks it's my responsibility to work out these things between the two of you separately, not your job to come together and figure out who gets me, basically. So yeah.
Yeah. Because Elizabeth and Lucas do have this moment later where there's a little bit of tension between them, but then he kind of apologizes and says that, and she tells him about the whole Nathan secret thing, and he actually asked if he had her permission to go talk to Nathan, and she declined, which obviously she was going to. She wouldn't let Lucas go,
Right.
But I know Lucas probably wouldn't like harass Nathan or anything.
Right.
He's mature like that. If anything, Nathan would be the one to go harass Lucas for some reason.
Yeah. And I think the thing we take away from this is she wants her choice to be Lucas, but I still don't think she's certain that Lucas is the one for her.
And the scene in this episode proved that. And before I get to that, I want to say the Nathan and Rosemary scene. Elizabeth and Rosemary kind of uses this example that she caused unhappiness for Elizabeth and Jack, which kind of paralleled to Nathan causing unhappiness with Lucas and Elizabeth, and how she thinks that Nathan's kind of falling into that position of her. And then he says he's not giving up.
Yeah.
Which was bold of Nathan to say. What did you think of Rosemary using that example?
I think it was okay. I mean, I think she was looking out for her friend, and she wanted him to kind of say, hey, maybe this is your time to back off. And
obviously he's not going to, but
Right.
it's still good of her to say. And Nathan's the one who stopped by the library to begin with. It's not like Rosemary
Right.
invited him, so,
Yep.
Okay. And then I wanted to say Elizabeth's not speaking to Nathan because of the whole secret thing, which she has a right to.
She has a right to work through it however she can. Best she can.
Although I'm sure it hurt Nathan to see her just walk away from him.
Right.
Kind of not cruel, but definitely like harsh, kind of.
Yeah.
And then at the bachelorette party, Fiona specifically calls out Elizabeth to do it. And do you think that was intentional, just because everyone knows that she's in a love triangle, or?
Not necessarily. I just think she was the next in line, so to speak. But yeah.
And then it's Carson first, and I thought it would have been funny if she actually thought that.
Yeah, she had to do that hand holding game just like Florence did and picked Ned. So yeah.
Yeah, it would have been funny if Carson was the one that she chose. But no, it's Nathan. She chose Nathan. She thought it was Lucas, and her and Lucas have held hands many times, and her and Nathan have never held hands.
Yeah.
So it just that was kind of funny, although it was like a mistake,
Yeah.
What did you think of that?
Well, I mean, I'm sure it put doubts in Lucas's mind. It also put doubts in Elizabeth's mind. So Yeah, I think it was more of a confusing thing for each of them than
Yeah.
anything.
And then I wanted to say that Lucas stopped by, and they're kind of like laughing at like the mistake from last night. And then she tells him that the conversation that they had earlier, because Nathan and Elizabeth had a conversation about like he tells her love's worth fighting for.
Mm-hmm.
And then she told Lucas, which I don't necessarily understand why, but she said that Nathan told her that he loved her again. And then he asks, "What did you say?" And she didn't say anything. And then Rosemary kind of interrupted their conversation, and then Lucas decided to go. So
Yeah.
it seems like he's realizing that Elizabeth is looking at Nathan more, so he might decide to back off.
Yeah, it almost seemed like it. He seemed a little hurt by her not saying, saying, no, you can't have these feelings for me because I have feelings for Lucas. And she didn't do that. So for Lucas, it feels like, well, does she truly have feelings for me? Maybe she still does have feelings for Nathan. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And, obviously she has feelings for both of them. That's been clear from time.
yeah.
It's not like she has no romantic feelings for Nathan. Obviously she does. And then there's also been some Elizabeth and Rosemary tension scenes which I didn't really like. That was probably my least favorite part of the episode.
Yeah.
The beginning scene where Rosemary told Elizabeth that Jack's death isn't Nathan's fault, which it isn't.
Right.
And Elizabeth's hurt and asked Rosemary why she wouldn't even make a comment like that. But Rosemary was just trying to help and like tell her that's why, because it almost kind of seemed like she might be blaming Nathan in her mind because she's spiraling.
Mm-hmm.
So, did you think it was fine for Rosemary to say that?
I mean, I think it's typical Rosemary. Rosemary kind of just speaks her mind.
Yeah.
And this is what she's doing now. And she thinks she's being caring and thoughtful and trying to help Elizabeth. But in reality, Elizabeth's hurt by it.
And it doesn't, she probably could have maybe, I don't think she necessarily, it came out in the best way. It's the Rosemary way that it came out.
Right.
Because at the end, they also have another argument, and she lets her be.
Mm-hmm.
This was actually an argument, in my opinion. And then you could just see, like, Rosemary looked at little Jack, and then she left, and she was just sad.
Yeah, she was.
So I don't really like their tension.
No.
I'm not sure what they're trying to build, like, if it's adding to the story any, but it's definitely not needed, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, the hope is they'll come back together, and I think they will. But yeah, it's not a pleasant thing to have to go through.
Yeah. So, next week is the wedding with Ned and Florence, and Ned's daughter, Katie Yost, is coming back, and she doesn't seem like she wants Ned to get married, so...
Yeah, so we'll see what happens there.
Haven't seen her on the show for a little while. I kind of forgot all about her.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of glad that they showed her in the promo, because at first I probably wouldn't recognize her in the episode. Yeah. So, anyways, thanks everyone for watching my studio. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on your post notifications so you never miss a video. Thanks everyone for watching, and